What's up, George? How you doing?
How you doing, man? I can't complain. Sitting here in this pretty rainy weather here in San Antonio, but other than that, it's great.
Man, I'm sorry that the weather isn't great, but I wanted to thank you so much for coming on my show, for jumping on, doing this.
Well, thanks for
Dude,
having me.
I'm so excited to talk some hoops with you. And
It's
I
been a
really,
long, it's been a long time. We've been trying to do this for a while now. We finally got connected.
yeah, it's gonna be great. Also, big shout out, of course, to my guy, the one and only Coach Forcier, the nicest man I know, legit. He's been so amazing to me. And you're close with him, right? Were you close? Are you like
Yeah,
close with him in
that
general?
was
Yeah, from
that was
Milwaukee.
like that was my first coach in San Antonio when I got drafted here. He was a coach that I met in Indianapolis, Indiana, when he was working for the Pacers, and then he ended up working for the Spurs, and that's where I got drafted. So I've been knowing Chad for 18 plus years now. So it's a great relationship between the two.
I totally forgot about that San Antonio stint.
Yeah,
Wow. And also in Milwaukee, so you had him twice.
sure. Had him twice.
That is, trust me, you're lucky for that.
Oh, for sure, for
So,
sure.
so what's going on in George Hill's world these days? Like, where are you at?
Nothing, I'm in San Antonio. That's where I live now. So I stay out here still in San Antonio. I'm just living the life now as unretired but done player right now. Just taking my kids to school and sporting events and getting my hunting and fishing on. That's about it.
I wanted to ask you about that hunting. It seems amazing. Like, where did you start hunting? Like, was that a thing from when did you start that?
No, I grew up in the inner city in Indianapolis, so hunting was far-fetched for us. We didn't have a lot of woods there. But when I got down here to San Antonio, I met a older couple, Will and Gloria Drash, who had a ranch and introduced me to the world of hunting and ranching, and I kind of fell in love with it. And that's where it kind of all started in 2008 when I first got here. First time ever hunting, went to go do an axis deer and turned it into a pillow and made steaks out of it and beef jerky, and the rest was history now. So now I'm full fledged, and it's a hobby that I really enjoy.
That is so cool. One of the craziest things I've heard. That's awesome. You mentioned you're unretired. You're still staying in game shape, right?
Oh, for sure, all the time. I'm working out almost every day still. Um, just relaxing and just having fun with it.
That's great. You're ready for the call. Anyway, you came into the league drafted 26th overall, and I think some teams just they overlooked you coming out of college. But dang, did you develop your game to become quite valuable. Just did you have a chip on your shoulder to help you overcome that? And what did you do in general to help you overcome that?
I mean, definitely so. I've been an underdog pretty much my whole life. I've always been the underdog type of guy, and coming from a mid-major like IUPUI, which I could have went to a lot of high major D1s, just chose to go the other route, and it worked out. But it's where I grew up. It's my background. I grew up in, like I said, the inner city of Indianapolis in the rough street part, and it kind of molded you to have that chip on your shoulder and that tough mindset and that determined mindset. And I took that the way I was raised and the way I was brought up and playing basketball with the older guys as, a challenge for myself.
You know, those type of stories and stuff, those are my favorite. I love
Mhm.
it when those players got those chip on their shoulders. I personally think it can somewhat like it can make you a better player once you get there.
I mean,
It,
definitely so. I mean, it gives you a second sense of purpose when you're playing. When all the chips are against you, you have something to look forward to and prove people wrong. And I think in my own self and my own experience, coming out of high school, and even though I led the state in scoring a couple of years, that coming out of there, people still didn't believe, and I always said I'm going to prove everybody wrong. So I chose to go to a small school, and everyone was giving me a lot of hard times about why didn't I choose the Texas and the UCLA's and USC's at that time, or whatever it was, and Tennessee's. But I told them I'm gonna make it out from here, and that's what I did. And getting to the NBA, they didn't think I was gonna play longer than 1 year, and turned it into a 15-year, career. So it's always a big thing when you have that extra umph to play for.
that's incredible. I love those. Anyway, so you were drafted by the Spurs, which means you had the benefit of having the legend himself, Coach U and Coach Pop, and he helped guide you. Like, how instrumental do you think Coach Pop was in your development?
I mean, he was big in the sense of, let me see, he he really like he I don't want to say this in a bad way. He didn't care about the basketball side because he knew that if we did what we were supposed to do as players and we did what we were supposed to do as athletes, that that would take care of itself. He was more concerned of how we can be better people. How can we put fingerprints on the world to change the world and use the gift that God's given us to impact the world? And that was the biggest thing. So when I first got here, the way he coached, the way he loved you, the way he, took you by, put his arms around your shoulder and just embraced you and you just knew that he loved you. Like it's not just me that trickles that. I think, everyone who actually played for Coach Pop and who has gotten close to Coach Pop will say the exact same things about tell your brother to get in, please. And I think everyone will say the same thing about like how inspired they are to play for him just because of how he orchestrates that organization as far as, it's family and people before the sport itself.
Wow, that's crazy. I never knew that. Do you have any other coaches or anything or any other coaches that like treated it the same type of way, or was it just Coach Pop?
No, like Coach Pop was great. Another one of my favorite coaches that I've always ever played for was Frank Vogel. In Indiana. We had such a great relationship. I consider his daughters, his wife, my family, and so forth. He does the same with mine. So um, he just made you feel welcome. He made you feel like family in a quirky way because we call him Frank the Tank. He's just a funny, outgoing guy, and he was one of my favorite. And other than that, Quinn Snyder is by far one of the most genius coaches I've ever played for in my entire life. I think the way he knows how to manipulate the game, his play calling, his drive, his demeanor. He was probably, if I have to pick my coaches, he's my top three.
Wow, that is a well-rounded top three, though. I'll tell you that. I just want to get back to the Spurs for a minute. I know the past couple years with the Spurs, obviously, haven't been great when it comes to winning wise. They've been losing quite a lot. But this year, I got a feeling they're going to turn it around, especially with Wemby having a year of NBA life under his belt, and just he's been great. Were you impressed by his rookie campaign? And what do you think he's going to live up to the hype?
Oh, I mean, he's already lived up to it. I feel. I think a lot of people, and including myself, I have to apologize for that too. Including myself, didn't think he would flourish as fast as he did. I thought this would be something that would take, 2 or 3 years. I knew that he had the ability. I didn't think he had the body to do it as far as the strength and things like that. But man, he's proved everyone wrong. He's proved me wrong. He's proved thousands of people wrong. And I just don't say me in that case. I just say me as far as thinking he was going to be as good as he is at this point already. And you right now you have to say he's one of the top players that we've ever laid eyes on already because of what he's doing with his height and how he plays the game and how he's bringing it. But who knows? I think it can turn around. Like San Antonio hasn't been in this position often. I think all the good things that have gone on in San Antonio as far as a Spur was championship caliber team. So to be on the bottom brinks for all these years, I think the Spurs have kind of pampered our city into winning. We've gotten so used to them just being a winning organization that it's hard to see them being a losing organization right now. But knowing coaches there, Wimby's there now, I think they have a great group around them to rebuild it and get it back to where it should be.
Yeah, I think they can do it too. Anyway, so you played in Milwaukee from 2021 till 2023. And I know you guys didn't win a championship there, but You played a big role in the success and the development of that franchise. You were a huge veteran leader in so many different ways, and obviously a great player. What was it like playing with an absolute superstar in Giannis and just watching his growth and domination of the league?
It was awesome. He's going to go down as one of the greatest players this league's ever seen. But I think what people don't understand is the work he puts in. That guy work ethic is undeniable. One of the hardest I've ever seen at this profession. The amount of work he puts in on his body, lifting, shooting, just his mind. It's no, you know, bluff or no bad thing that he is who he is because of the work he puts in. And I think, having his African heritage and his Greek heritage, he has no choice. He plays the game still today like he is playing to make it to the NBA. And that's how I think he's great.
Coach Mazzulla, he told me something that I found really interesting. He told me that he saw growth from Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown's game. I asked him how he saw it, and he told me he saw it in a way that they learned in different types of ways to impact the game. Not that they just worked on the things that they're good at to get better at it. They developed in a different way. And he told me that's what makes a real star. Did you see this in Giannis?
I mean, definitely so. I actually got to see Giannis when he first came in, and to see where he is now, just his body change, his game change, his style of play has changed, his force has changed. I think every year we come back and we look at Giannis and say, "Man, he got better at this. Oh, he got better at this." So that just shows his growth, his development, and I think more people get better when they actually lose because they learn things. When you're winning, everything is great and you feel good about yourself and you kind of like give yourself a break because your body, your juices are all up and everything is flowing, right? But when you have those losses, it makes you go back in that cave and try to figure out how you can be better so that loss isn't as painful as like it was the year before. So I think his loss is what actually has developed Giannis the best.
Well, whatever it is, he's done it right.
Sure.
Anyway, so me and my friends, we always have this discussion over and over again. Who's the new face of the NBA? Because LeBron and Curry, of course, they were the face for so long, and it seems like they're starting to pass the torch a little bit.
Well, you're
So
putting me on the spot with that question. That's a good one.
here's my question. This
Okay.
has been my opinion for a little while now, and this is what I'm starting to believe. Thing is Anthony Edwards becoming the face of the league? Because I really think he is.
From what we have been seeing the last 2 years, I would say it's a great direction.
Mm.
But with a guy like Wemby coming in and only a first year guy, and you see what he's starting to do, I mean, he's not as flashy as an Ant, but a Shea Gillis Alexander is amazing. I just think, you know, I don't know. Sometime I had a feeling where the face of our league was going to be a foreigner at one point when Giannis was at his all-time high, and then he gets quiet down just a little bit, and then Jokic comes out, and so like you just never know. But I think to be the face of the league, you have to have the impact of the league for a very, very long time, like a LeBron, a Kobe, a Jordan, a Tim Duncan, uh, a guy like Steph Curry who impacts the youth for a very long time. I think we can't say the face of a league with a 2-year resume.
I get that. I understand that. The only reason why this is the thing that really pushing me to think that he's gonna become it is because he makes so many controversial like comments and stuff, and I love it. He gets out there with swagger. He gets out there. He's like, they asked him about the U.S. Team USA when they asked him about being the number one option. He said he's gonna make. They got to fit around him. Like that is something that I think can propel him to becoming the face of the league. Am I wrong for that?
No, you're not wrong at all. I think he has the intangibles to do that. Now, can we sustain it long enough to become that? That's the work he puts in and having a little luck to stay healthy at the same time. I think he has the swagger. I think he has the game. I think he has the persona. I think he has all the intangibles
The
to
Flash.
be the face of this league. The flash, the upside. It's kind of like you're seeing Michael Jordan in a sense at a young age. When we look at Anthony Edwards, the way he dunks, the way he overpowers people, his swagger, the way he carries himself on the court. It's almost like you're looking at Michael Jordan again at the beginning of Michael Jordan.
Right.
And I think he has all the tangibles to do it and be one of the best players this league has ever seen.
Trust me, I'm rooting for him. I want him to become ridiculous. Anyway, what I thought was a huge move in the offseason was Klay Thompson leaving the Warriors. So him and Steph were no doubt one of the best backcourts of all time. And it's gonna be weird seeing Klay in a Mavs jersey. How much do you think Klay's got left in the tank?
I mean, he's a lot. I think one thing they always say is, as athletes, you can lose your athleticism, but it's hard to lose your shot, right?
Right.
So the biggest thing that Dallas was missing last year is scoring from the outside and having another prolific scorer that doesn't necessarily need the balls in his hand. I think with Kyrie and Luca having the ball in their hands 90% of the time when they're in the game, but they're so very unselfish to pass the ball, I think Klay is going to fit right in and get even more open looks to me.
Right. I think I also thought that when I saw the move, I'm like, that's the right fit. He's the right fit for the Mavericks team.
He's a great fit for them, just the way Kyrie passes, the way Luca passes. They're very pass first dominant, players, but that's a lot of scoring power over there, with their young core. But I still don't think that's the biggest move so far this summer.
Who do you think is?
I think Bridges to New York was the biggest move this year.
I was actually about to ask you, my last question was about New York. Although it was about Jalen Brunson, who obviously has been off the charts. He's been great. He's at 6'2", he just dominates, creates his own shot, gets the lane, shifty, crafty, everything. How surprised are you about how amazing he's become? You think he's just gonna become a superstar? And also him and Mikal together, do you think they're gonna be a crazy duo?
Do I think he's going to become a superstar, or is he already a
Keep it
superstar?
up, keep it up. I mean, keep the pace for next year.
Because people don't think he's a superstar yet, and I really think he's a superstar. I think we don't give him enough credit because he's not as flashy, right? He's not making these highlight plays or all these highlight, situations where it's the wow factor. But a superstar doesn't have to be wow. He just gets the job done, and I think he does a great job of getting the job done
So
at a
effective.
high level from what he had to work with. I think adding a guy like Bridges to the core of that team that's already probably was the most synced team in the league last year outside of Boston. If we go back, I think New York had the most synced team outside of Boston last year. And to have a guy missing like a Julius Randle and get him back healthy and getting him playing to the all-star capability that he always plays with the guy Brunson and Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo is doing a great job for them playing, as the fourth option. To get a guy like Bridges who plays on both ends of the floor, it's like having another Josh Hart, but a better scorer.
I'm
It's
I he-
it's I think them losing Hartenstein was really big. I think he was their motor inside. But I think getting Julius back and having a guy like Bridges, you can kind of make up that slack.
I love this take so much. And I want to ask you, do you think this pushes them to become a top three team in the East? Do you think them and the Celtics can become like a big rivalry now between the players?
I think they're already a top three team. I think they were the second best team last year in the East to me.
Wow.
Um, I think they were the second best team in the East last year. But like I said, to win championships, it's all the guys are playing good basketball at the end of the year, and luck is a big thing. Staying healthy, right? Jalen Brunson going down was really big for New York.
And
You
his
know,
contract,
like
his contract shift, huge.
Giannis and K-Mid and Dame getting hurt was really big for Milwaukee. Like, everyone don't understand winning the championship is very hard, but it also takes a lot of luck of guys staying healthy, right? Um, but like I honestly believe that a rivalry has to be something that goes on for many, many years. It can't be a 1 or 2 year deal and then it just goes along. Like a Indiana, New York is a rivalry. It's always been a rivalry. A Chicago, Indiana, a Chicago, New York. So Boston, LA. But I think from an East Coast standpoint of Boston and New York are going to see each other for the next 3 or 4 years.
Wow, that's a bold prediction, and I'm loving it. George, thank you so much for taking your time to come and join with me today on Jake Stakes. Did you enjoy your time with me?
I love it, man. Anytime. Anytime you just let me know when you need me. Got you.
Thank you so much.